Hi, I'm E.D. Lewis, and welcome back to my channel for another nocturnal review. Before we get started, I just want to go ahead and make a little plug here for Local Haunts, which is a HorrorTube anthology. It includes stories by many great and talented HorrorTube and AuthorTube authors and writers, such as Regina St. Clair of our St. Clair of Regina's Haunted Library, Marie McWilliams, Bookish Marie, and many others, including a story by yours truly, myself. It is available right now in paperback and Kindle, so check that out, and it's just in time for Halloween, so get your copy today. All right. Also, please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Hit that little bell on the subscribe so you can get notified. And also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, as well as Bookbub and Goodreads and Wattpad. And please visit my author page on Amazon, as well as the official Facebook page of my book, The Curse of Ridge House. And you can find 3 of my writings, my published writings, on Amazon right now through Local Haunts, the story in Local Haunts I have, my short erotic story Alone with the Professor, and my gothic novel The Curse of Ridge House. The links for all these things are down below. So let's get started with tonight's review. This was actually a book that I read a few weeks ago or so, maybe a month ago, I'm not sure. Because I started my Halloween TBR rather early because I wasn't sure how much reading I was going to get, and I kind of got behind with stuff, and so I didn't get to read for as quickly as I'd like to and stuff, and sometimes I don't read very quickly, so. But I'm finally getting around to reviewing this. It is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. See if I can put it up so you can actually see it. The edition I have is just the Amazon Classics edition, so it was really inexpensive. It was like $1.99, 99 cents, something like that. And I actually had never read the original version except for like the short adaptations for children, which the story is basically the same, just shortened down, really. We will talk briefly about a couple of movie versions. I don't have a physical example because, well, the movie version that I have, it's actually a double feature. It's the original 32 version and the 1941 remake, but it doesn't have a cover because it was a pre-owned one from Blockbuster. For those of you who know and remember what Blockbuster is. So, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was published in 1886, which I always thought it was published, like, shortly after Jack the Ripper's murders, but I guess not. It was, like, 2 years before. Because I just kind of thought, for some reason in my head, that it was inspired off of, the Jack the Ripper Whitechapel murders, but, I guess not. It is a gothic horror / kind of gothic mystery, although if you're familiar with it, the mystery's kind of, no longer a mystery. But, there will be some spoilers as I will talk about the plot, but, because this one's kind of hard not to spoil, I'll try to keep some of the ending and stuff as secret and some of the other plot details. But, oh, and by the way, the reason why I keep saying Jekyll is because I read somewhere, because I heard in the 1932 version, which I'll talk about, it's the only film version I've seen where they pronounce him Jekyll. All the other film versions I've seen, they always call him Jekyll. Well, I read somewhere that Robert Louis Stevenson was asked about that, and he said let it be pronounced Jekyll, because I guess Jekyll is a Scottish name, and I guess in Scottish it's pronounced that way. If anybody knows more about this, please let me know. That's just what I read and what I've heard, so I try to call it Jekyll now. So if that's incorrect, if the information I got was incorrect, please let me know and please correct me. Because I'm trying to train myself to say Jekyll, and I'll easily go back to Jekyll if I have to. So, the story is about a lawyer by the name of Gabriel Utterson, who becomes intrigued after hearing a story about a mysterious man named Edward Hyde trampling a young girl in the street, and then being talked into paying money to avoid scandal. Utterson becomes absolutely horrified when he learns that the name on the check that Hyde delivers is signed by his very well-respected friend, Dr. Henry Jekyll, who has recently changed his social habits and become a bit of a recluse. But around the same time, Jekyll has also recently changed his will, leaving everything to this mysterious Hyde. Now, Hyde is described as kind of, not hideous or anything like that, but you look at him and I guess you have this very odious, ominous feeling, this feeling of dread, like you can't trust him, like there's something about him that's just wrong. But he's never described as a monster. As you see in a lot of film versions, he's very monstrous looking and evil looking, and he doesn't look human. So, but anyway, so Utterson believes that Hyde is behind the whole thing and that perhaps he's blackmailing his friend. So I'm gonna just take my glasses off. So he brings the matter up to Jekyll, who denies the whole thing and refuses to discuss it further. Things get worse when Hyde murders a very respectable man, another of Utterson's clients. This warrants the police to get involved in the investigation, where a broken stick, the murder weapon of choice, is found in Hyde's apartment with no Hyde. The kicker is, Utterson realizes that this stick is the same one that he gave Jekyll as a gift. So he goes and he confronts him once again, and Jekyll, produces this letter that's supposedly from Hyde, and, he fesses up to the whole thing and, apologizes for it, and, supposedly we're not going to see Hyde again. Well, Utterson believes that this letter was forged by, his friend, because the handwriting is very similar to, Jekyll's and not Hyde's handwriting looks so much like Jekyll's, so he figures it's a forgery. Jekyll's just trying to protect Hyde for whatever reason. So for a while, Jekyll reverts back to his former self, and it seems that Hyde has gone away. But a mutual friend of theirs, both theirs, Dr. Lanyon, dies, leaving behind a letter to be opened at the time of Jekyll's disappearance or death. Soon afterwards, Jekyll secludes himself, back to being a recluse, even worse this time. Mysterious, weird things start happening in his lab out behind the house, and he ultimately disappears in the wake of Hyde's return. So I'm going to leave it right there, even though there are some spoilers right there, and there's still some spoilers ahead, but I'm going to leave it right there because I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end anyway, and what happens leading up to the end. So, so there are many film versions of this, and I have seen a handful of them. I mean, I've seen where Jekyll's been in, Jekyll and Hyde have been in, like the movie Van Helsing and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But there are some, and in the movie Mary Riley, based off the book about the maid in Jekyll's household. But there are several just straightforward adaptations of it. Probably the most notable is the 1931-32 version, starring Frederic March. In this version, and I guess from a lot of other ones, including the 1968 TV version, which is actually my favorite, and the 1941 remake of the 32, Jekyll is portrayed as, this young and handsome doctor, kind of a miracle worker in the 32 version. The mystery of Jekyll and his relationship to Hyde or rather the twist, since I'm sure you all know what it is, has been removed, so it's obvious, you know exactly what the relationship is. It's not a big reveal at the ending of the film, except for the characters who find out, such as Dr. Lanyon, which Dr. Lanyon is given a much better, well, not better, he's just given a slightly bigger part. He's still equally important to the story, but I think he's given much more, I don't want to say screen time, because if you're referring to the book, it wouldn't be screen time. We'll just use screen time than he is in the book. And I kind of feel like in some ways he kind of takes Utterson's place in the film, as he's getting, he's just much more important. Jekyll is introduced, they introduce, a fiance for Jekyll, and also a seductive music hall girl, which this same idea is used in the 1968 TV version with Jack Palance, as well. The character of Sir Danvers Carew, I'm never sure how to pronounce his name. He's not murdered in the 1932 version, but he is the one who's murdered in the book. He's given a different significance. He's made into Jekyll's future father-in-law, his father-in-law to be. And I mean, I feel like in some ways this is definitely probably considered to be the most noteworthy and best adaptation, but it's not my favorite. It'd probably be my second favorite, because March plays such a great part in it. He plays Jekyll, and then he plays Hyde, which of course is a completely different personality, and the way they have him done up, and the way they did the makeup with the special effects by they applied the makeup and just used different lighting cues to show the makeup up as he does the transformation, which, spoiler alert, if you didn't catch it right there, is just, it's so masterfully done, and it's so unique for the time. And his performance as Hyde is fantastic. He's menacing, he's terrifying, he's just crazy, the things he does. And so, I mean, Jack Palance did a great job in the 1968 version, too. And, of course, that one was done by Dan Curtis Productions, and Dan Curtis, who created Dark Shadows, and it features Dark Shadows music, and features the first appearance of what would become Quentin's theme in Dark Shadows, if you are Dark Shadows fans, as I am. So, there's probably another really noteworthy version. I mean, there's been several versions of it, and that'd be the 1920 film version with John Barrymore. I've never seen it. I have a copy of it, I've just never watched it. But I think it may have some of the similar tropes, from what I understand, to the 1932 version, but I don't know. The 1941 version is good too, but I don't really see the point of them remaking it so soon. Spencer Tracy is probably the biggest draw for it, maybe. I don't know, I'd have to review it again. I don't watch that one very often. So anyway, that's the review, and I just wanted to close the video with just kind of showing, what I've read recently. Kind of an update, which if you've been on Instagram, you'd know, that what my TBR looked like, which I've almost completed. I just completed House of Dark Shadows yesterday, the novelization of the movie. I plan on doing a review at some point on that. And I just started last night My Friend Nick by Joseph Hood. So far, it's really good. I have some high hopes for this. I actually won this in a giveaway he was doing on Instagram, which I thank him very much for, So I'm very honored to have this, and it's also a signed copy, so that's fantastic. And I'm already enjoying it. And today, I started the last book on my TBR, The Haunted, which is it's about an alleged haunting up in New England from the 1980s. So it's based on an alleged haunting case, and it was one that, if you know who the Warrens are, they investigated the case. So, kind of my spooky reads for right now. So that's what I'm working on right now, reading-wise. So, go out and get yourself a copy, from the library, bookstore, Kindle, Nook, wherever, a copy of this, or you can listen to some audio versions. I know there's some on YouTube of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Sorry about that. Also, see that, go out and watch some of the movies, like, the 1932 version with Frederic March, or the 41 version with Spencer Tracy. If you if you, like me, haven't seen the silent film version with John Barrymore, check that out. If you like silent films. I have an appreciation for them, so I have no problem watching them. And check out the 1968 TV version with Jack Palance. It's very good, in my opinion. It's a little different, but it has some of the same tropes that you see from the 1932 film. And go out and get your copy of Local Haunts, So check that out. And that's all I have for you tonight. And yep, that's it. So keep safe. And be kind to one another. And see you next time. Bye-bye.